and their plans. Amen. Which was very good as well too. They wanted something. They were married. They wanted something. They were expecting a child. And a couple of songs and cliches of ours that we say and sing came to mind when I read this. He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. That we do say that, and we do believe that. I think we have a problem with that. I think one of the problems with it is that his time is not our time. So they were wanting and wanting and wanting on their time, and many of us today now are mature enough in our walk and relationship with Christ that we too would pray first, hopefully, if not, just fool me like you would. But after praying, would we do the next cliche, knowing that he does not come when we want him, but he's always on time? Then we sing, I don't mind waiting. But how true is that? I mean, if I ask you in here some questions about waiting, and you were to be truthful, probably the only thing you want to wait for is to leave here. If I gave y'all one wait pass that you could just wait on something, it would probably only be death. If you knew that that you were going to win the lottery, do you mind waiting? You sure you do? You mind waiting? Because you're gonna say, Lord, don't wait till I get too old and can't do nothing with the money. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. You don't want to wait. You worked, and promotion is coming up. Do you want to wait on yours? I don't. I mean, it's been a long time since I had applied for a job and started a job. I've been where I am for 20 something years, 25 years, something like that. But I remember that when I used to apply and get the job, I didn't want to wait my week in the hole for my check. What do you mean I work for you a week and then another week and then you pay me, you hold my first week? I ain't hold your work. As a matter of fact, if it's up to me, you could pay me daily. I'd work a little better if you paid me daily. And a whole lot of folk wouldn't miss as many days if they got paid daily. If they were waiting on you right every time you clock out to hand you your money, but a whole lot of folk. But the waiting process, they prayed and he got with the father-in-law and they prayed. Was it the their father-in-law, and they prayed. They prayed and they dedicated a prayer room to it. But they wait, and we say we don't mind waiting, but in reality, we can't do anything most times but wait. But we dealt with the word long suffering, which means to patiently wait. How many of us wait patiently? Can we just talk this morning? Just tell me some things in life that has been put in so you don't have to wait. They got express lines at Walmart. You go to Publix, which is a great grocery store, they got a lane for regular people, slow people, and then they got a lane for 5 items or less. Then they got an express lane. No, y'all not talking to me. Do you know, mother, you can order your groceries on your phone, pay for them, and don't have to wait. They'll put them in a buggy. I was Because you don't want to wait. And then some product that you like is on sale and you mad but you didn't walk that aisle, so you didn't see the sale. You don't have to wait to pay bills. You can just go online or have it automatically withdrawn. You don't have to wait for food. You can pre-order it and prepay for it and pull up and they'll bring it out to you. You just pull up into You didn't see the folk make your food. You don't know what they put in your food. You don't know if they dropped it on the floor and put it back in there. You just, because you don't want to wait. And now Deacon hit something, because we're in a no wait world. We don't want to wait to see what we're going to become. We don't want to wait to see our purpose in life. We don't want to wait to see what God has for us. We want everything right now. And right now, things mess up right people. The problem with our world today, the problem with our youth today is that they're getting things right now that we didn't get until we were mature enough in our mind to handle them. It wasn't that we didn't know how to use the phone. It was that we didn't have no reason to be talking on the phone. You see, the phones in grandmama's day was really for emergency purposes. Grandmama said, why would I need to pick that, she call it a trick, up, when I can walk right down the street and look at you and see how you're doing? and that was a great invention. But the telephone itself, it stopped people. They said, oh, I ain't got to go check on them. I'll just call and see how they doing. How many people you just call and see how they doing? Now watch this. When you call them and see how they're doing and you hear it in their voice that they're weak, you say, well, you better get you some rest. I don't want to hold you. You still don't go see them. Because we don't want to wait. So they waited. But God will put you in some positions where you just have to wait. What do you think the waiting? Okay, why do you think God give us the waiting periods? Teach us patience. What else? Why do you think he give you think his little elves ain't got it made yet? He ain't got your blessings made yet, and he's in heaven saying, "Hurry up, little elves, and get their blessings together so I can send it to them." You think that's why he have you wait? Why do you think he have you wait? This, why do we have to wait?
Don't need got that waiting period there.
Yeah, show you if you need it or not. Why don't you think we have it already? I mean, God has everything. Let's clear that up, right? He has a full supply. It's not like he ever runs out of anything. So you could have it already, right? So why don't you think we have it? And it'll help us understand why he makes us wait. Let's say it is something we need. Why don't we have it? Why do we have to wait? Okay, so your child, take some of y'all back a long time, is 13 years old. You have a car that you've been working on and you like, and you say, hey, this is your car. But they don't know how to drive. They don't have their license. So it's theirs, Brother Michael, but they just can't have it right now, but it's still theirs. They got to wait before they get it. Why? Appreciate it more mature. They're not ready for it yet. It could hurt them if you give it to them now. They won't appreciate and take care of it if you give it to them now. Their mind is not mature enough. Let's go back to the question. God can give it to us right now, but he doesn't. He make us wait. Why? We must mature. Waiting, he says, if I make you wait to get it, you will appreciate it more. You will be more mature to know what to do with it. Oh my goodness. Look at some people that were blessed and understood their blessings before they were mature enough to handle the blessing. We are. Some of the best singers When they had their voices early and knew that that was their neck, they sang in the club. They got on drugs. And then when they finally realized what it was for, they came to the church and said, my voice is to give to God. You know people that are not saved, that they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Look how they turned out. Meanwhile, you struggling, wondering why I got to go out here in this garden, why I got to be out here in the hot sun. Everybody else playing ball at school, but I got to do this before I can play ball. I got to do this and do that. But the maturing of your mind, that when you got the opportunity, that we've been on Israel's side. God has blessed us with a good job or something real early, and we just messed it all up. And we look back on our life and say, oh, if I'd have just been mature enough then, I would have had it made. If I would have took care of that blessing, I would have. Hello. We've messed relationships up. We had something good. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me today though. I ain't talking about, I'm talking about before you got married, when you was dating. You had somebody good, but they were too plain. They were just too good. And you moved on into the fast one, and then you messed around and got the hold to one that broke your heart. And that was the only time you realized what you messed up in the good one. Amen. Lights. So God, he makes us wait sometimes. He says, you got to wait, because it's not that the blessing is not ready. You're not ready for the blessing. That talk to me. If God would have blessed you to be staying where you stand right now at 17, 18 years old, you wouldn't be staying where you stand right now. You'll be fighting, trying to get back. Oh, it's better to be fighting to get better rather than to get back. Y'all didn't get it. Yeah. See, getting back means that God blessed me with something and I lost it, and now I'm spending my energy trying to get it back. Getting better, Brother Freddie, means that he blessed me with something. I kept it and took care of it. I'm going to get better. But if I have to get back, I'm way behind where I'm supposed to be, because I got to get it back first to get better. Most people that get behind, they say, if I can just get back up on my feet, all they do most of the time is spend the rest of their life falling down, getting back on their feet, falling down, when they could have been walking the whole time. Just you never advance getting back. God, you only advance getting better. So today's lesson about dedication of the temple. Some things have happened. King Darius is now the king, and Israel, who had been taken over by Syria and then Babylon and now Persia, have went through 3 kings since they have been decreed to go back and build the temple. King Cyrus has asked them to go back and build the temple, and then they went to another king, Artaxerxes. Can you say Artaxerxes? Artaxerxes. King Artaxerxes was the second king, and then you had King Darius. Well, they were told they could go back and build, and we read about them building the foundation. Well, unfortunately, once they got the foundation built, trouble came. So let me put it like this. Once they began to get back on their feet, trouble came. Wait, he said, somebody need to hear that again. Once they decided to do better, trouble came. Once they made up their minds that I'm not going to live like this anymore, I'm going to live for the Lord, trouble came. Opposition came. They got the foundation built, and then the king changed. And the next king, Artaxerxes, he wasn't just up on them building that temple back. He was afraid that if they got the temple built back, They would get close to God, and they would no longer be under the Persian power. They would be under the power of the Almighty God. Be careful, my brothers and sisters, to make sure that you are at full strength when you decide to do better. Because Satan is going to unleash all your old demons to try to win you back. Satan don't care if you stay who you are and just go to church. Mother Hammers know what I'm talking about. Satan don't care. Satan don't care if you got a bad attitude, but you going to church. He's saying good, because I want that bad attitude to rub off on this person, that person. I want it to mess up church. Satan don't care. People say, "Oh, Satan trying to stop me from coming to Sunday school." No, Satan trying to stop you from learning. He wants you to come. He'll ride with you. That joker ride with you. He just want to make sure that you left worse than when you came. But when you make up in your mind, now listen to him tell me. Here's something that happens because we confess our sins. God is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and clean us up of all unrighteousness, right? But also when we confess our sins, Satan hears it. Satan said, "What you mean you sorry for what you done? I thought we liked that. It felt good. It tastes good. It smelled good. It looked good. But Satan understands sin. Sin always take us farther than we want to go and keep us longer than we want to stay. Because God makes us wait. So they had rebuilt the foundation, and trouble came. The people started hindering them. Oh God. You ever feel like you're coming into your good season and then trouble comes? I know I've seen it in my life a lot, but I've seen it in the church life. Yeah, I seen it in the church life. When I first got here, we buried a few members. I fell in love with a lady when I first got here. And I was like, Lord, why do I love this lady so much? It was the clerk, Sister Deborah. Yeah. And it was the first funeral I would do. I realized why he made us so close. And I remember her. She told me when I visited her one time, she says, on the way out, we talk about heaven and talk about this. And then one day she told me, like Sister Betty Brown, I'm ready now. I got it. But she told me one day, she said, I got to tell you something, Pastor. And I don't want you mad at me. I said, no, I'll never be mad at you. What's wrong with you? She said, when we were getting ready to vote, I wasn't sure about you. It wasn't that I didn't like you. I just liked somebody else, but I really didn't know you. She said, but I'm so glad that I voted for you. I said, oh, well, I love you too. So I seen seasons. And then after that, we went about 3 years with building the roster, no deaths. And just when I thought everything was going to be just great because we're rebuilding, we're doing some things, you know how much opposition came our way? Let me let you into the heart of your servant pastor for a minute. The reason you catch him crying sometimes. You know how bad I wanted Mother Reed, Mother Simmons, Castleman to see the rebuild? You know, Deacon Wayne, who started out with us, You know how it breaks my heart to say that they didn't get to see this? It makes me say, did I wait too long to get started? Should I have done it earlier? Should my faith been stronger? But in reality, it wasn't meant for them to see it. Now listen. This is what I mean by when you celebrate, keep your guards up. The last few of our members, God called them home right after their birthday celebrations. Yeah. 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 I celebrated with Mother Simmons the week before. Mother Staten had a birthday a few days before. So God was letting us celebrate two things, but we didn't know it. I'm telling you, in life, when you want to know how you'll know if you're sincere about getting better, all hell gonna break loose. Yeah, because God wants Satan to see that you're serious. We're serious that we're gonna get better no matter what. Now you probably ain't been in the streets, but I have. And I tell people in the streets this all the time. You're not gonna come out the street on top. God's not gonna let you be on top when you come out the street. He's gonna let you have some setbacks, and Satan is gonna try to use it to say, well, go on, take care of this, and then come out the streets. Because he know one more incident might take you out. You're gonna have to take some losses and get out the streets. You're gonna have to take some losses. When you get serious about God, you opposition's coming. Satan's not gonna bother you as long as you work with him. He's just gonna keep giving you stuff to keep you with him. But when you tell Satan, I'm through, I'm gonna do right, the best crooked deal in the world gonna come your way. The finest woman gonna come. That woman that you never could have, all of a sudden she's gonna be called. That man that you never could have, that whatever it is that you wanted that wasn't good for you, they gonna come a call. Because it's Satan's way of saying, come back home. And you have to tell Satan, I moved everything out. I left the furniture because it wasn't mine. So Israel, they had built the foundation, but they stopped. And listen, here's the deal. So this new King Darius comes about because King Artaxerxes, his time is up. So now Darius comes about, and Darius, Tatnai, we're gonna run into Tatnai, Tetney. He's gonna try to stop them from building. He asked him, who told y'all they're gonna go back to trying to build again? Because you know what brought them back to start building again? Every now and then, there's a prophet or preacher that comes through that stir up us to remember how we were brought up. Every now and then, something happens to remember that we were brought up in the church, that we were brought up to respect God and to give God reverence. Every now and then, something's going to pop up to remind us who we are. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, some people, this is how they remind you sometimes. They say, wait a minute, you you're Burks, right? John Burks, your dad. That was a way of saying, if you're doing good, good. But if you're doing bad, now you know better. I wish y'all talk to me. People ask you that. Feel like me, and you were old school, and my daughter, she loved me for it now, but she used to hate me for it earlier. And my boys, they call themselves dating somebody, bring them over, let me meet them. Why you always got to meet them? They got something that's mine, you. And what I asked them, I asked them some questions. Now, you know, if it's a boy where you work, what car you drive? Better not say mama's. Because then you're gonna be trying to drive my daughters. I ain't buy no car for you to drive. I had to take it a couple of times. I hope she ain't watching. I had to take it a couple of times. I told her, don't let your boyfriend drive this car now. And I went somewhere and saw him out, and he was driving. She knew she was in trouble. She said, how long you gonna keep the car? I said, tell him he won't. He telling you to ask me. No. But what I really got around to is, what's your name? Who your folk? Because your folk gonna tell me a lot about you. Isn't that amazing? Because the Bible teaches us that if we train up a child in the way that he should go when he's young, when he get mature, he'll come back to how we raised him. How many of y'all like me waiting on them to come back around? Hallelujah, Lord. I got some hope. I'm hoping that they come back around because I know what I put in them, the Lord's way. So as long as they're breathing, we got hope. He says they will not depart from it once their mind. So I don't just pray for Justin or Jeffrey. I pray that their mind matures. Because I've been there. Paul been there when we were a child. We thought as a child, we acted. Hello. Yeah. And so they were laboring, they were trying, and this king, Darius, when Ptolemy went to them and told them what were they doing, Haggai and Zechariah shows up, the prophets, and encourages the people to start back building. Get this, y'all. They laid the foundation. You remember we read that in Sunday school? They stopped working for 16 years. They let people hinder them for 16 years. Can I ask us a question? How many times have we started something, a ministry, a commitment, and we let people deter us? We say, oh, God led me to start this. God led me to do this, only for the people to stop us from doing what God told us to do. Well, you say you want me to bring it home? Okay. You know, God told you to Urshan. You check with him and you said, yeah, that's my ministry. But the people frowned up at you and jucked so many programs from you and threw so many fans back at you and talked about your Urshan stocking shoes so bad until you just decided you're not Urshan anymore. Now, who started you? Yeah, I can't hear y'all. Who started you? Who stopped you? Who are you going to have to give an account to? But you listen at the people. He put you in the choir, and folk acting a fool in the choir, and won't hardly show up, and ain't but three of y'all. So you saying we might well shut it down. But who told you to sing? See, God told you to sing, and who gave you your voice? So when you get to the end, you say, well, Lord, nobody else was singing, so I stopped singing. God gonna say, you ever heard of solos? Gosh, I'll go. Another cliche. See, mother, another cliche. Well, we tell God, I'll go if I have to go by myself. But how many of us will go by ourselves for real? As long as we have God, we'll never by ourselves. Oh my goodness. I'm the only one in the room that can be lonely, but yet not alone. I'm thinking, I can be lonely sometimes, but I'm not alone because God is with me. I have to remind myself of those things. Amen. Yeah. So 16 years. They were on a mission and they were doing well. And then opposition kicked in and they just gave up. You know what separates boys from men? How they handle opposition. How do you handle it? Dick says you plan. You know you're gonna get married, you gotta have a place to stay. You ain't gonna get married and move in there with mama now. I tell mine, married, or if get married, come stay with you for a little while. No, marriage is my reward for raising you to get grown. It means that I get to give you away and somebody else take care of you. It don't mean that I get to take care of you and somebody else. You got marriage and having a child mixed up together. But you know what separate girls and women? How they handle oppositions. Y'all gonna talk to me today. How do kids handle opposition? What do kids do? When it get hard, what does a kid do? Quit. They quit. They stop. What else they do? Huh? Go complain. They go to their parents, complain, cry, throw fits. Y'all gonna talk to me. Come on. It ain't been that long. Go get another toy. Yeah. You get on drugs. They won't face reality, won't face that this is it. Commit suicide. They get depressed. They can't handle it right now, especially our kids of these days, because they never had oppositions. That's what kids do, right? That's a great picture of what kids do. Y'all remember that? All that. What does adult do when they hit opposition? What they supposed to do first? Because yeah, mother, you already answered the question. Same thing. Yeah, come on, let's bring it home. What happens when the average adult hit oppositions? What do? Complain. What else? Well, I tell you what, let's go, let's do this right here. What did the average adult do when the pandemic hit and the stock market crashed? What'd they do? Okay, they stayed at home. What'd they do? What else they do? Some people killed themselves when the stock market crashed. They committed suicide. Do you know more people committed suicide during the pandemics and the stock market crashed in the history of the United States? What else? They cried. They complained. They divorced. Child abuse rate went up. They finally realized what the teachers was talking about. They finally realized that their child was bad as hell. And the problem is now they had been fighting against the teachers so long about like it was the teachers' problem and bringing in laws that they couldn't even whoop their kids anymore, to when they finally realized when God put them in a pandemic and they were stuck at home with their kids and they gave them a whooping and then the kid called the police. The same rule that they brought in is reading they went to jail for child abuse. Yeah, more child abuse cases during COVID than ever. And most of the child abuse cases was because the parent whooped the child. And you know how long that, I almost said, that butt whooping, you know how long that butt whooping was needed? It took COVID for them to get a butt whooping that they should have got 10 years ago. God has a way. He has a way. Almost, that's the best medicine, mother. All this other medication they taking. My daddy had some medicine that'll fix most of these kids today. He prescribed leather. And that belt, Brother Michael, my daddy was an artist at whooping butt. Now I'm saying you could take off running. So you take off running with mama and grandma, they couldn't catch. They'd be like, come here, boy. Daddy wouldn't. Daddy, somehow daddy throw that belt, I'd be going down the hallway. Look, it looked like that belt just wrapped me up and pulled me back. Boom! I did better if I just stood there. The end of that belt had some medicine on it, buddy. If he got to the end, Dick, I'd better go and get the middle of it. Shh. And what I like about Dad, he didn't talk when he whooped you. So it was over with faster. You know, grandmama said, did not take, no, Daddy was like, boom, boom, boom. You was like, oh, she said he done killed me. Oh, Daddy, I ain't had a whooping since Daddy been gone. Boy, he could put it down. Thank God for Daddy. Yeah, but they need that. Now, the opposition comes. They've got the foundation built. Could you imagine that we started the remodeling of the church and then we stopped for 16 years? What the people would be saying. The first thing it is that you're going to say, and people are going to say, if I tell you, well, God told me that we're going to do such and such, and we started, but it take me a while to complete it. First thing y'all gonna start saying is, come on, mother. Shouldn't have stopped. God didn't tell him to do it. Should have never stopped. God must have didn't tell him that. How many people have you looked at when they told you, God told me that I'm gonna be a doctor, and they was flunking out of school, and you said, what God you talking to? Can I bring that home? How many times have God promised you something that you were going to be somewhere when you were nowhere near where he told you were going to be? Oh, gosh. How many times did God promise you were going to be king while you had sheep dung in between your feet because you was only a shepherd? You had no king you had no king characteristics. You had no king experience. You had no king bloodline in you. So how many times have God told you something that blew your mind? God ain't talked to y'all like that. My goodness. God has told me you're gonna do such and such and such and such. And I'm in a place where it looked like my life is it. Lord, I ain't gonna even be free. And then you just put in your mind, say, well, I guess while I'm in jail, in prison, I'm gonna do all this stuff. And he said, no, I ain't tell you it's gonna be a prison preacher. Wow. God has never told you something. I've seen God tell people something, they come to me, they say, but in my spirit, I'm supposed to be a doctor and help people, but I just flunked out of school. I said, so what you gonna listen to, your spirit and faith or what you see? How many of you ever got something you didn't qualify for? But God. But God. Here's God's credentials on blessing you. Here's what God says. God says, this is the ingredients you need if you want me to bless you. You need faith and you need long suffering. You need to know how to patiently wait. Patiently wait don't mean I'm not doing anything. It means I'm doing everything in preparation for the blessing that's coming. Y'all, because if y'all got that, you can say, let's close it down. Patiently waiting don't mean you're not doing nothing. It means that you're doing everything in preparation of the blessing that he promised you. How are you preparing for the blessing? Don't mean that you're going out trying to get it yourself. It means that if he promised you a house, you're looking at decorations. If he promised you a house, you're looking at what neighborhood. People saying, have you even been to qualify for one? You said, no, that ain't my business. He'll tell me when to do that. He told David, he says, you're going to be king, but then he done something that was tough. Maybe it wouldn't have been tough on you, but it'd have been tough on me, D. He told David, you're going to be king, but now go back out there with them sheep. What do you mean I'm going to be king one day and you want me to go back and look after these sheep the same way I looked after them before you told me that? That's like you telling me I'm going to be rich one day, but I'm poor right now, but you want me to go back and still live like I'm poor. I'm going to be trying to get a loan on the loan that's coming later. They're going to give me a little bit now, D, because I'm telling you, I got some money coming in. I don't know when. He tell you that you're going to be in a position where you can have a steak every day if you want to, but now go on back and keep eating them bologna sandwiches until I deliver it for you. You don't think that bologna sandwich going to change taste to you? Because you're going to be eating that bologna thinking about a steak, and all of a sudden that bologna ain't as good as it used to be, but you ain't even got the steak yet. But that's how God works. God says, he told Abram, he says, I'm going to bless you to be the father of a great nation. But right now you're barren and y'all getting older. Birthdays kept coming, but conception didn't. Come on now. You would have been like Sarah too, y'all women. Y'all would have laughed too. We've been trying to have kids all this time and we ain't, and now and got old. My grandmama said sapped and dried up, and I thought y'all talked to me. I can't do nothing. He can't do nothing. I said we look at each other and get tired and go to sleep. Used to be we hug each other and go to sleep. Now we look at each other and fall. I wish y'all would help me. But God has a way, because what God says is, he says, look here. He says, when I bless you, Brenda Red, I want you to know nobody but me. No, nobody but me. This is what I want to do. It ain't gonna be the doctor. You're not finna go get some doctor way over here, overseas, and all that. You're gonna use them doctors right around there. And you see many people fall to cancer, but not you. Not you, Mother Hammer. Not you. And people, they ain't gonna be able to say, oh, what doctor was it? You're gonna tell them Dr. Jesus. Because the same doctor I use lost just as many patients as stayed alive. So he didn't heal them. Jesus does the healing. But when God bless you, he bless you in a way that you know nobody but him. So some people had to lose their job to get the blessing, because they would have said, this job that I got, oh, I got a good job, y'all. Look at all I've done on my. He said, no. There's some folk that work there with you in way more debt. Gosh. So Israel, let's get on this. Israel, now, Tatnai, he come and he's trying to stop them. And then the prophet Haggai and Zechariah says to him, no, King Cyrus gave us permission to do this. That was the king before him. So now Darius is the king. Artaxerxes is no longer king. So Tatnai is what you call the governor, but Darius is what you call the president. So Tatnai says, Tatnai said, let me go check with the king and see what he says. And King Darius says, all right, they stopped building again. And he says, let me check the archives. And they found a scroll, a petition from King Cyrus that said, let Israel go back and build. So King Darius read it. He told Tatnai, he said, leave them alone. Stay away from them. Let them build. He says, know what? As a matter of fact, help them build. Take all my tax money from the West and give to them. And give to them whatever building materials they need. Give it to them. Not only that, feed them every day. Make sure they got enough oil and water and bread and all. And feed them till they can't eat no more, so they can complete this task. That's what he told them. Tatnai went back, and we pick up on it in today's lesson. When Tatnai went back, it says, then Tatnai, governor on this side the river, Shata-Boznai, and their companions, according to that which Darius the king had sent, so they did speedily. In other words, he went back quickly to tell Israel what King Darius had said. Here's what I love about the Lord. Another cliche we say. The Bible says it too. When a man's ways please the Lord, he'll make even his enemies be at peace with him. When a man's ways please the Lord, as long as my ways are pleasing in his sight, my enemies will be like, I don't like him. I can't stand him, but I ain't gonna bother him. They'll be at peace with him. You ever had somebody that try to find fault in you, but just can't? I would ask y'all another question, but y'all Christians, I know y'all. You ever not liked a person and don't know why they didn't give you no reason not to like them? You just didn't like them. You really never gave them a chance. You just said, I don't like them. Well, what they do to you? None. What just something about them. But and listen to the lie we say, it's just something about them. And they trying to figure out, well, what it is about them. What they do to you? None. What they do you don't like? I don't know, just something about them. What is it about them? Maybe it's something about us. Because think about to not like something that you haven't tried. Nothing's wrong with the product, something wrong with you. You like Neapolitan ice cream? I don't like it. Why not? Something about it, I ain't never tried it. Gosh. See what you mean? Something wrong with you. but you ain't tried it. The flavors mixed together. You tried, you might like it. Now it's different if you say, I tried it and it ain't. How many people you don't like? You ain't never even. I can ask you another question. How many people you thought you didn't like and you got to know them and you liked them? Oh, can we get a little deeper in our Christianity? How many people have people told you about that made you not like them, and then you got to know them for yourself and realize they're the opposite of what the people said about them? Whoa. Because guess what? Have you ever been on the other end of the stick? I have. Where you walking by and people talking, you can just tell people standoffish like, damn. And then later on, they get to know you and say, well, the reason I was acting that way towards you at first, everybody was saying you such and such and you such and such, but you ain't nothing like that. You was living in Myrtle Beach and you back in Huntley? We'll talk later. Go ahead.
And I was used. And I'm just me as my name. It's great. Did draw. And someone went out to my people we worked every day. And so one day her mom came home and I asked her off. I said, can I go home? And she said, well, if you want to. I said, okay, and just show me where you live. But long story short,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she said, I'll change my mind about you.
Wow.
Yeah. She said, because when I saw you, I thought she's just another pretty, you know what?
Mm-hmm. 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 Watch this. Sometimes your blessings irks other people. She thought you was just another pretty because you look nice. She thought you were going to act like the other people act. Sometimes what God has blessed you with offends other people. But here's what I tell people. I've had people that say, oh, I told y'all when I got here, there's very few preachers that as some young folks said, that mess with me. Because a lot of them look and say, oh, that boy grew up old school, grew up under them elders. He gonna be stuck to that. This is it. They really they don't know me. But here's what they'll say. He been to school and he got some degrees and he this and he that and he that. Blah, blah. What they don't understand is that's the anointing. It amazes me. But they don't understand this, mother, about it. Those people that's against it, you don't know what it took for me to have that blessing. You don't know. I've probably been in worse places than them. So I'll never think I'm up here. No. So she looked and she just assumed. And that's what we do. We assume. I had a whole lot of people change their mind about me. Oh, I thought you were this way, and I thought you were. I laugh. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get deep into the lesson. You have to be careful. When I was young, I used to tell people, and I tell them now, be careful of what your friends tell you and what all you tell your friends. See, there you can have a friend and you telling your friend, oh, this man, he ain't this, he ain't that, he ain't that. And your friend looking at him and comparing him to what they got. And they saying, well, I sure hope you throw him away because I'm sure going to pick him up. Because he much better than what I got. All he do is work all the time. All he do is complain because the house got to be just neat. All he do is this. And you driving a car he paying for, and on gas he giving you, and they looking at you and saying, well, the man I got won't work. The man I got ain't giving me nothing. Man, I sure hope you throw him away. And no sooner than you set him out on the trash pile, they pull up there. They've been peeping, waiting on you to put him out there. I believe she gonna drop him off this time. Drop him off and go hop on in. I don't even need a resume. I know what you do. Same thing, women, vice versa. And man got the wrong woman, and see this woman doing it amazing. Life amazing. Isn't life amazing? Maybe it's just me, but does not life seem this way to you that the no good man get the best woman, and the no good lady get the best man? Like the no good lady just get a man that just hang in there and she just be dogging him out, and all the other women be like, what does he see? And the no good woman got that man that's just abusive and on it, and all the other men like, what? Why she stay? Does it seem that way to y'all? It be like, and it's easy. It's easy when to look and see it, but when you going through it, you can't see it. Ah, boy, eyesight. So he told him to do his speech. And the elders and the Jews build, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddu. And so the elders, so the Jewish leaders, they continued their work. They started back 16 years later. They started back. They had been in bondage 70 years. So this was about 20 years after Cyrus gave them permission to start building. They built for 4 years and stopped for 16 years. Do you know that the pastor would have been voted out that church? Now I'm saying we bought a piece of land. And I told you God told us to build over here. And we laid the foundation in 4 years. And it was coming up, and everybody drive by and said, oh, Beans Creek gonna have a nice church over there. And after 4 years, a year later, they said, ain't nothing over there in about a year. Grass growing up and everything. 2 years passed, 3, 10 years. You're gonna be so used to passing by, you're gonna say, what's up? The first year, you're gonna say, Beans, they building over there. That 5 years in, you're gonna say that it was supposed to be a church, but don't look like they're gonna. 10 years, you're gonna say, I don't know what that is. Because the foundation was still there, but grass and stuff had started to block the view. What are you saying, Weary? I'm saying sometimes with us, the foundation of God is there, but we let the world block the view of the foundation, and we ourselves don't see the foundation, and that's when we got a problem. Sometimes we have to cut the weeds down so we can still see the foundation. 16 years, nothing. But now that they started back, because why did they start back? Because the word of God came to Haggai and Zechariah. But God is the same yesterday, today, forevermore. So wait, there's a difference in God saying wait and us stopping. When God says wait, that means that we're preparing for the blessing we ain't got. But when we stop on God, the foundation was built, but they stopped. Deke, how many have come to church long enough to get saved and stop? And stop. There's some cliches with that. What do you do? Some people say, give them something to do and you can keep them. But I found out if you give them something to do that they ain't ready for, it'll make them leave faster because they don't want to be embarrassed. What do? They laid the foundation and stopped. How many Christians have laid the foundation, mother, and stopped? Still, when you ask them to say a verse, still saying Jesus will. Still praying the same prayer, still doing, because they hadn't grown. They laid the foundation and stopped. Do you know what the foundation is for? The foundation of anything says, we are building here. We are building here. Once we get the foundation, we are going to build right here. They had stopped. But now, the prophet Haggai and Zechariah comes down, and you know what they do? Do you think they came down with something new? No. They came down and reminded the people what God told them, what he promised them. After your 70 years of bondage, you're going back to your land, you're going to rebuild the temple. Here's my problem, though. What do you think the biggest problem was with the 16-year delay? Remember our lessons on last Sunday and the Sunday before that. They built the foundation and they built the altar. Why? So they could sacrifice and get forgiveness for their sins. 16 years later, what have they been doing for the 16 years? Because their temple represented their relationship with God. At that time, God would only come dwell in the temple. You only have the foundation. So God's presence is still not in your life. So basically, they were happy to say, God finna come see about us again and lay the foundation, but they didn't stay in communication with God. What are you saying, Weary? I'm saying, how many times have God answered your prayer? Because you've been begging and communicating with him day after day after day, and he answers your prayer, and he don't hear no more from you until you need something else. Let me ask y'all a question. Maybe to help y'all praise today. Are you just as talkative with God after he answers your prayer as you are when you're begging for him? Yeah, and then what? Maybe we go back and thank him one time, but we've been asking a year. Please, Lord, please, please, please. And then when you do it, oh, Lord, answer. Boom, through with that. Let's move on to something else. You start asking for something else. And the reason he lets us wait so long, the reason he allows us to go through storms, he said, that's the only way you talk to me. You want to know why you're going through so much? He says, this is the only way you, he says, I've tried. He says, watch me. He says, watch me. So when you go into the doctor, you talk to me all the way to the doctor's office. And don't let the doctor just run some tests. You'll talk to me all the way to the doctor's office. You'll talk to me every day before the tests come back. Gosh, I wish they'd talk to me. Now, if the tests come back bad and you got to retest, you'll keep talking to me. Every day I'm going to hear from you, clockwork. But if the tests come back good and everything's okay and you ain't got to go back to the doctor till next year, it'll be about next year before we hear from you real good again. Yes. Yes. And in relationship, mother, listen, we weep together when we go through something, but we celebrate together. He says, do me like that. And then we could celebrate longer if you talk to me. But isn't it amazing? I got to go, Lord. Huh? He said, I'm on his time. I'm sorry. I couldn't. Isn't it amazing that you can remember the worst birthday, but can't remember the best birthday? Isn't it amazing that you can remember the bad stuff more than the blessings? Huh? Oh boy, people get me. They can tell you what year so and so died, and I'm sad this month because this the month such and such, and this. And I said, what day were you baptized? Oh no, I got to go back and check. Look at us. The problem is this. The reason we can jump up and we're running late. Watch this. He blessed us with some extra rest that we've been asking for by letting us not hear the alarm clock. But instead of jumping up, thanking him for the rest, we complaining that we're running late for work, so we don't even pray and thank him for waking us up this morning. I'm gone. We're more worried about the world than the one blessing us. Oh, Lord, you done let me run late. Why you ain't let me? He said, do you remember what you asked me last night? You asked me last night to let you get some good rest and sleep because you needed, you ain't had none in a while. And I bless you with that. And now you complaining about it? You don't even thank me for waking you up. Honey, I could have let you not wake up and not ever hear that alarm clock again. I could have let you hear it and woke up paralyzed and couldn't turn it off. His ways ain't our ways. Another cliche. I got to run now. Children are coming. He says, look, he says, so they did. And they built and they finished it according to the commandment of God. God commands us to do things. God tells us to do things, right? Of Israel. And according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month Adar. What is that? The temple, it was completed on March 12th, during the 6th year of King Darius' reign. All right. Verse 16, and the children of Israel, the priest and the Levites and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. I want to dissect something. All right. We know who Israel is, the children of Israel, right? We know who the priests are and the Levites. Who is the rest of the children of the captivity? Who's the rest of the children of the captivity? These were people that just decided to come back, to proselyte. These were people that were converted over to Judaism from pagan gods. And so they decided to come back. They kept the dedication of the house that had returned from the exile and offered, put 5 in D. Earth is the Lord's fullness thereof, they that dwell therein. Verse 17 says, and offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bullocks. Anybody in the Old Testament, in First Testament readers remember what the bullocks represent? The bullocks was what the priests had to sacrifice to get their sins forgiven. The bullocks is what the priests and the Levites, they had to be clean first, because if they wasn't clean, the people couldn't get clean, because they would have nobody that could go before God for them. What does that represent? That represents Christ. It took innocent blood to save us from our sins. So that's what the bullock, the 100 bullock, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and a sin offering for all Israel. 12 he goats, each one for each tribe of Israel. 12 he goats for the tribes of Israel. And they sent the priests in their divisions and the Levites in their courses. So the priests had divisions. The priest was broke up into divisions, saying, you're going to serve this amount of time. You're going to serve this. The Levites was in courses. They supported the priests. The Levites actually were the mediator between the priests and the people. Yeah. You could view the priest as the pastor and the Levites as the deacon. I didn't know that, right? The deacon is supposed to be the mediator, the bridgeway between the pastor and the people. The deacons, they got a tough job. They got to be gorilla glue on both sides. Y'all double-sided tape. They got to stick to the people and stick to the pastor and stick us together. So a church that got deacons that don't like the people, we in trouble. They don't like the people, but they like the pastor. A church that don't like the pastor, but like the people, we in trouble. We not, because we ain't like that. And deacons that don't like the people or the pastor shouldn't be deacons. But they have the hardest job. They know, they understand the people. They don't understand the prophecy and the vision of God and the preacher, but they got to bring them together to see, how do we get here? You know what the deacons really are? And the mothers. They're the pastor's way of feeling what the people desire. Most pastors really, really need them to be mediators for real, because most pastors, they're probably not in tune with their congregation as they should be. And I'm not knocking them, but people have always asked me, they said, do you want a big church? You could have a big church. I said, only if it grow big. I don't want to inherit a big church where I don't know people's. I'm in Walmart and they say, hey, pastor. And I'm like, I don't want to be in a place where people join church and I'm so big and there's so many people that I have a division who baptize them, but I don't get in the water with them. Or something happened in your family and I send other people out because I'm too busy. It's too many people in the church for me. I don't feel like that would be a good shepherd. I think that God, when he calls us to be under shepherds, you got to know each one of your sheep, every one of them. You got to know they're different. You got to know how to love on every one of them. And you know, I stay busy, so it'd be tough on me. He says, so they offered those up. He says, and they had their division. Levites had their courses for the service of God. They had them for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem. And what? As it is written where? In the book of Moses. What does this tell us? They had something to go by. They had the first 4 books of the Bible. They already had it. And this is what they were going by. How did they get it? Somebody found the scrolls. The king found the scrolls, right? He read the scrolls out, remember? And they was crying and saying, we got to get back. We got to get back, right? Yeah. And God had given it to Moses. So they had something to go by. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. Here we go again, the children of the captivity. Who are they? Who's the children of the captivity? You keep saying children of Israel, children of captivity. How long had they been in bondage? All right, let me see. Y'all been paying attention. 70 years, right? And how long had it been since King Cyrus turned them loose and they had started building on the temple? 20 years. And in that 20 years, they had stopped building. How long did they stop building for? 16 years. So we're talking about 70 plus 20 is 90. Anybody born 89 years or less were born in captivity. They were not born in their homeland. Talk to me. Think about this. The reason they stayed so long in the wilderness was because of their disobedience, but something happened. The whole generation of people besides 2 families died in the wilderness. The only families that was in the wilderness and got to the promised land was Caleb and Joshua. Every other family died out that started. So these were children that they took into the promised land. Now, 70 years, he's cut the lifespan down. 70. 80 by reason of strength. 90 years. So some of them that were born in captivity, he's saying, y'all are children of captivity. Why weren't they the children of Israel? Because the temple wasn't built. So you want me to be Baptist, you want me to be this or that, but we're born in a foreign land where they serve idol gods and I'm not able to go to the temple. You're not able to teach me about Christ and I'm born over here. I can't be born a Baptist or this. I'm a child of captivity. All I've ever seen is what I seen over in Babylon, So the temple is needed for teaching also. That's what the church is needed for. The building is needed so we can come and teach and train our children up. So he calls them the children of captivity. And then they were able to celebrate the Passover. When were they able to celebrate the Passover? April 21st. April 21st, they were able to celebrate the Passover. Right? April 21st. When did they complete the temple? March 12th. March 12th. April 21st, they were able to celebrate the Passover. He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. I don't mind waiting. But did they have to wait? No. They stopped building. There's a difference in you stopping and God saying, wait. God never told them to stop building. They decided to stop. They let things stop them. So make sure you say it right. Don't come say, well, servant, God told me to wait on that. And God didn't say it, just said, servant, I'm going to stop. Have God ever told you to stop something he told you to start? You may complete it. That's not stopping, right? If I start washing the car and I finish it, did I stop? I completed it. If I start washing the car, but I get tired and I said, well, I ain't going to do the tires. I just stopped. And then I lie and say, I'm finished. Well, I ain't lie, I'm finished, but it ain't finished. What was that saying Dad used to teach me? If it once the task is begun, if this once the task is begun, do the task until the end. Be that task great or small, complete the task or don't start at all. That's what he taught me. Yeah. He says, for the priests and the Levites were purified together. So what does that mean? They got clean together. Their sacrifice of the bullocks was for them to be purified together. All of them were pure. So all of them made it. All of them got forgiveness for their sins. And they killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. The priests and the Levites had purified themselves and were ceremonially clean. So they slaughtered the Passover lamb for all the returned exiles, for their fellow priests, and for themselves. Verse 21 says, and the children of Israel, which will come again out of captivity, come again out of captivity. They just got out again. They just got out again. We kind of snarl our nose up at people that get in trouble, get out, and get in trouble, get out. And next time they get out, we say, it won't be long. Right? Yeah, what about us? What about us? You know, you was younger, you went to the club and got you somebody, and it got to be club material. It didn't work. And that one messed up. Then you went back to the club and got you somebody else because you thought it wasn't a club. It was just the wrong song when I chose the person. So you went back to the club and waited till they put on another song and found you somebody else. And then that one didn't work. And then you realized that didn't work. It wasn't a song. It was what they was drinking. So they drank white and you like brown. So this time you chose somebody that drank brown. I'm gonna get to y'all in a minute. But that one didn't work. And then you said, well, it ain't the song, it ain't what they drank, it's probably how they dress. So you went and got one of them that don't dress. Over and over and over again. But we look at people that go to jail and keep getting it, going back. We look at them like they pitiful. But what about us? We keep doing the same stuff over and over again. Do you know the definition of insane? Insane means that you keep doing the same thing, but expecting a different outcome. And then you said, well, it must be the club. Then you said, I'm going to start going to church. I heard there's some good folks at church. So then you go to church and choose somebody and it don't work out. And it was just a member. Then you said, I'm probably supposed to get one of the leaders. So you get a deacon. It don't work out. Then you said, oh, I was probably supposed to be with the pastor and it don't work out. Until you finally realize the problem is not who you're choosing. The problem is who's doing the choosing. God, I wish I'd help me. Who's doing the choosing is the problem. And the problem is you're doing the choosing, but here's the problem. We should allow God to do the choosing. Tell them they can come in. They can come in. So it wasn't Most of the time, it's not where we're choosing from. It's not how we're choosing. It's not what we're choosing, but it is who's doing the choosing. Because if we just be honest with ourselves, right? I found just as many bad relationships from clubs as I did to church. Because it's not who I'm choosing, it's who's doing the choosing. If I let God lead me to do the choosing, but every time I make my choice, when you choose, what do you look at? We've been talking. Do you look within? Don't nobody go in that club or go in church saying, Lord, I'm just going to let you show me who to take hold with me. I'm going to just let you show me what number to ask for. Talk to me. Something catch your eye because you're looking outside rather than inside. I got to tell y'all something, then I got to leave y'all alone. When God does the choosing, you see, God did not have to even acknowledge the excuse Adam gave him, because God gave Adam Eve. He didn't give him a catalog. He didn't have to get online. Oh, serving pastor kind of old. Find you the old paths and walk therein. He didn't have to get online, because if you get online, there's listed your birthday, your zodiac sign, what movies you like, what books you like. Now, if I was the old Casanova, I'm on third base with you before I even meet you, because I've looked on your profile. You like Gilligan's Island. I can't stand Gilligan's Island, but I like the way you look. So when we go out on the first date, I done watch Gilligan's Island. I'm telling you, I like Gilligan's Island and all this, so we can get on our island. And after we get off our island, I'll let you know I ain't never liked Gilligan's Island. I don't appreciate you, and I'm moving on to... Y'all don't want to talk to me. We have to look within. We have to. I'm more like Skipper or Gilligan. We have to look within to see what God would have us to do. So it says that they were purified together. You wonder why the servant be begging and crying for y'all to come on and let's confess our sins, because I've sinned during the week and you've sinned during the week, and some of y'all don't want to, because we're not powerful unless we get purified together. You say, man, that church going, but it's a pull, it's a struggle for them. That's because each member's not pulling. God. Oh, y'all say, oh, we're going to wear the servant out. Not if you push. You're going to wear me out if you pulling me back and I got to pull alone. But if you're pushing me, I just asked y'all a question. Who going to remove the stone? Who going to remove the stone, preacher? Who's going to push the stone? And you heard what Jesus said when he went to get Lazarus. He said, who put the stone there? You remove whoever put it there. Get it out my way. Y'all gonna just watch the preacher break his back? Just you push me, that stone. You pushing me, I'm pushing the stone. We need to till our ground. He says they were all purified together, and they killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren the priests, and for themselves. When Jesus, it's a symbolize of him when he was the ultimate sacrifice. But some things happened. He said, look, as long as I'm walking the streets of Jerusalem, I can heal around here. I can send a word, but people can't see me in Japan and over here. He says, but if I be lifted up, if you just, because something happens when you lift something up. No, Almighty. So What is Pastor doing? But everybody see now. He says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw. What I like about that, Brother Michael, is that means that nobody's disqualified. The blood qualifies everybody. That's why you don't need to remind me of who I used to be. That's how I got to where I am. Oh my. Understand? You complain about what you've been through. Do you not know what you've been through is the map to get you where you are right now? And stop looking at that map. You ain't going backwards. Your destination is not behind you. Your destination is in front of you. You just keep looking towards the hill. Let the people back there remind you of what's behind you. And I got to tell you this, and I got to get out of here, mother. What's behind you can never hurt you unless you turn around to it. I gotta go. So they're reminding the new people about God. They're reminding the youth about God. The Passover meal was a reminder of what God had done for the people. And that's what's wrong with our youth. You are not reminding them of what God done for you. You won't sit down and talk to them. They're in real life situations that God has already brought you through, but you acting like you shamed, but you should never be ashamed of your testimony. Only be ashamed if you still there going through something your child going through. You be ashamed if you clubbing in the same place your daughter clubbing. Be ashamed if you getting the same guy she getting. Yeah, you should be ashamed. But if you've been through a bad relationship and they're in a bad relationship, tell them that you made some bad choices too, and this is how you get out. Y'all ain't gonna help me. You running from what God has brought you through. You should tell people what God brought you through. I'm gonna tell my testimony. The only thing I ain't gonna tell Deacon is something I'm still doing.